Hey guys, it's Ricky. Got another commentary for you. This was requested to me by Paul K. Dragonmaster 2. He asked me to commentate on a review by someone who goes by the username Navgtr, spelled Navgtr. Now, I've heard that his reviews are quite bad, like long before this request was even made. And it seems it's because he mostly tends to focus on cinematic camera angles and graphics and not the stuff that actually matters, like the controls. And after watching his review of Super Mario 64, well, let's just begin and you'll see for yourself.
Okay, you've just spent over $200 on the Nintendo 64 and the new Mario game. You pop it in, stretch Mario's face just for fun, then listen to Princess Toadstool invite you to the castle and watch the Lakitu cloud fly around with his camera. You arrive via tube. Remember, you're a plumber.
And this information is relevant why? I know Mario's a plumber from Brooklyn, but what did this fun fact about Mario have to do with the rest of the review? You guessed it, nothing.
It's your first time in this brand new world, and what a world it is. You can climb trees and do huge flips out of them. You can head towards the waterfall and listen as it gets louder and louder. You can jump over the fence and swim around in the moat. Just try not to get caught up in the force of the waterfall.
Or you could just swim away from the waterfall. That's what I always did. So why are you implying that the waterfall has some sort of gripping force to it? Did you know that you can exit a stage through this very same waterfall and just swim away from it? Hell, do you even know that you could do this?
Yeah! Woohoo! Yahoo! Yeah! Woo!
In Super Mario 64, you can do just about anything. It is, in fact, like jumping into the movie Toy Story. But don't get all psyched up about traveling to infinity and beyond just yet.
Toy Story and Super Mario 64. I'm sorry, Navigator, but I don't see the connection here. This is pure uncut comparison fail. Toy Story involves, well, toys that come to life when no one's looking. Mario 64, you collect stars and worlds where you enter through portals and paintings. If anything, you should be comparing that to Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe, because they both involve very elaborate worlds whose entry portals are unusual items. In Mario's case, the paintings. In the book's case, the wardrobe.
Although the gameplay and graphics are very cinematic, the basic setup and plot of the game is no big surprise.
And you're not gonna explain or get into depth on the basic plot and setup. You're just gonna leave it at that, and it's just no surprise. Look, I know this is Mario we're talking about. He's just going out to save the princess once again, but in a review when you're trying to give the viewer some information about something, you can't just say something is no surprise and then just leave it at that. You need to explain. You need to elaborate.
After a few days of playing the game, it starts to get old.
I don't know what you're talking about here, because last time I checked, Mario 64 is praised for replay value.
The game is way too short. Only 15 main levels.
15 main levels with 6 stars in each of them, some of them harder to find than others, 7 secret levels, and 3 Bowser levels. That don't sound too short to me. In fact, you need 70 stars just to gain access to the final Bowser level. That's more than half of the 120 stars there are in the game in total.
Most players will beat the game in less than 2 weeks, unless they plan on getting all 120 stars to gain access to Yoshi.
How do you know that most gamers are going to beat the game in that short amount of time on their first playthrough? They're not all equally skilled like you're implying that they are. And you know, some of these gamers may have social lives, like they could have a job, they could go to school, and because of school they got homework to do. You know, all that good stuff. A lot of things can deter them from the game. And you're saying that 2 weeks is too short a time to beat a game? This coming from a guy who reviewed Star Fox 64, a game that can be beaten in less than a day.
That little chore is extremely difficult. Stars are hidden everywhere. Some of them are practically impossible to find on your own, like the one in Stage 2 that can only be uncovered by blasting out of a cannon and breaking off the corner of a wall. There's another one in the Hazy Maze level that's out of sight above your head. But if you use wall jumps near the Boulder Hall, you'll discover it in no time.
Dude, each of the star's titles gives you a hint on where the star is. The one where you had to ram into the wall by firing out of the cannon, that star was called Blast the Wall Away. And since there's only one cannon in the Womp's Fortress level, and not a whole lot of walls that you can blast away with it, the hint gives you a pretty good idea of where to look.
The game would be better if we were treated with plot developments and cinema scenes just like the kind we get at the end of the game.
Why? This is a video game, not a goddamn Hollywood movie.
Incidentally, Mario 64 has the best ending ceremony of any game in history. It's just outstanding.
The princess stating the obvious and then kissing Mario on the nose. Yep, that ending sequence is just too epic. Nothing can ever top it, ever.
The super graphics, camera movement, and real voices make Mario 64 more than worthy of your time. Don't get us wrong. There are 64 other reasons for you to buy this game, but we just wanted to get the negatives out of the way first. Now here's what's great about the game. First of all, the gameplay is truly 3D.
Really? I couldn't tell through all the 3D gameplay that you've been showing us throughout the goddamn video.
And once you get used to switching the camera angles, you can use them to your advantage.
Here he comes to save the day!
Mario 64 was developed using Silicon Graphics computers. The same computers that brought you the special effects in Jurassic Park, Twister, Independence Day, and of course, Toy Story.
Wow, that's a pretty bad jump there, Navigator. How the hell do we jump from the ultra super vague yet so blatantly obvious description of the gameplay back to the graphics and how they were developed? Now that's bad organization at its finest.
The significance of this
is that you wanted to mention Toy Story again, isn't it?
Is that video games are becoming so advanced and so popular that they're starting to gain Hollywood's attention. Although we've carped on a few of Mario's shortcomings, please be aware that this is only because of the enormously high expectations that have accompanied the game and the development of Nintendo 64 for years. The game does get fun again after you beat it.
So playing it through the first time can get boring after a while, but it automatically gets fun again after you beat it. Navigator, make up your mind. Does the game have good replay value or not?
And then focus on finding 120 stars. Since you're familiar with all of the courses by then, the game is a little less frustrating.
Cause you know, the people watching this video don't have any common sense whatsoever.
For the premier title of this system, Super Mario 64 is a breakthrough in graphics and play control.
And now you're back to the graphics again. At least you're finally going to mention the controls. You know, stuff that actually matters in a game review.
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. One last thing we should mention is prices.
And he doesn't elaborate again. Why am I not surprised?
Nintendo 64 games will be, on average, $10 to $15 more expensive than Super Nintendo games. This means that most games may cost around $70, compared to an average of $50 for first-generation gaming systems. Although we believe that Nintendo will definitely beat its current rivals when all is said and done, well-established and emerging systems like Sony PlayStation could surprise us.
But as the Nintendo 64 grows and the writable disk drive is introduced, the gaming game will surely change. We all want the best games there are. We all want games that give Hollywood a run for its money. But how much are we willing to pay for these great software titles? Maybe, as video games become more mainstream, companies will be able to afford to lower their software prices in an effort to attract even more buyers. Now that's virtual reality.
And that's the end of the video. Now, from what I can see, Navigator was doing everything he possibly could to avoid actually talking about how the game works. He kept jumping from topic to topic, and he never went into detail about the controls, the camera, or any of the power-ups. And whenever he did explain something, it was something that everyone watching the video could see for themselves. The closest thing to real information he gave out was the fact that some of the stars are, quote, impossible, unquote, to find when you can get a lot of help from the hints at the start. Oh, and let's not forget the precious graphics and cinematic camera angles. Navigator, I know this review is quite old, but that doesn't excuse anything. At least try to improve your organization and keep information about a certain topic from scattering all over the place. Viewers can get very annoyed by jumping from graphics to gameplay and back to graphics and back to gameplay, etc., etc., etc. And most of all, you need to elaborate on how the game actually works gameplay-wise in order to help your viewers determine whether or not they should buy the game. Because, truth be told, gamers aren't going to care about graphics and cinematography as much as you. Well, that's all I gotta say. This is Ricky, signing out.